G'day again, and welcome to Lago Maggiore on the border of Lombardy and Piedmont in northern Italy, where we are racing in go-karts for the first race of the first season of the 2021 Nations Cup Series. And this should be an interesting one. I've never raced in karts before. In fact, I've never even attempted it. So, and this race really was an unusual one. In fact, it was downright wacky. A lot happens, and here I am in P6 to start, so let's take a look at my qualifying lap. So my best lap was the first flying lap of the qualifying session. I couldn't improve on this lap, but I was pretty happy with it. You know, considering the time I got was only a few tenths down from you know, what I managed in free practice, but could have been a little bit faster, especially with this final sector. I do get a bit squirrely around here and also at the last turn, and that last turn is going to come into play a little bit later in the race as well, so keep your eye out for that. In fact, that last sector entirely just, yeah. So yeah, 50.68 as a qualifier as we move down the grid. I always like to show the full grid before starting the race, because as far as I'm concerned, everyone who races is just as important as I am. Without them, there could be no race. It would just be me doing hot laps, and that would be boring. A few familiar names: Jimmy James or James Cruz. Check out his YouTube channel as well. I'll link to it at the end. He live streams a lot of these races and is quite good value. Contagious I've raced against before, and yeah, so a few familiar names in here, and looking forward to a good Nations Cup race, although you'll only see Aussies and Kiwis in this race, basically just because of the way that the Nations Cup is dividing up the regions. So yeah, it's unfortunate that we don't see other nationalities represented in this part of the world, but you know, there's no love lost between Australia and New Zealand. I'm sure an Anzac series is just fine with all of us as we get started here at Lake Maggiore for 25 laps around the centre reverse course. And some rather appropriate starting music, I think, and you'll see why a bit later it gets weird. So after the start, up the home straight for the first time, following behind James Cruz, Jimmy James on YouTube, with Ray ahead of him and Hambone and Contagious behind me, Animal Chin and Oni Roma in the first and second spots. Keep an eye out on Ray in P4 as we come up to this last sector, because he's about to demonstrate why you don't want to touch the sausage curves in a go-kart. Hi Ray. Don't worry, he comes back. So at this point of the race, I'm feeling pretty good. Got my first lap jitters out of the way, and set up for a pretty cool drag race down the main straight against Jimmy. We come up to T1, I'm on the outside, he's got the inside line, and I couldn't get a cut back done, I just had to let him go, but I was still, at this point, feeling really good about my my position in this race so far. And as we come into the final sector of lap 2, I'm feeling like I'm gonna be right there as Oni Roma goes off briefly, comes back on nicely though as we come around the last corner, and of course I understeer into a wall, and as I come back on, even though I'm ghosted, it throws everybody into chaos. I am so sorry. I really had nowhere to go. I mean, I was ghosted, so there was no need to really avoid me. They could have just driven straight through, but yeah, I just kind of rejoined in a pretty haphazard way there. So my bad. If I had indicators on the kart, I would have flashed them, but I didn't, so I couldn't. So coming back down the end of lap 3, luckily it hasn't cost me that much. I'm still up in P6, which is where I started, so that crash and the subsequent penalty that I got really hasn't affected me too much at this point. So coming onto the main straight to begin lap 4, and there is something in the road up ahead, whether it's an invisible cone or a glitch or a bump I didn't see before. I don't know what that was, but it totally upset my kart, destroyed my line, and yeah, almost sent me into the Shadow Realm. So managed to recover, and we'll just keep it going now behind Contagious. So I'll take a moment to talk about strategy in this race. There isn't one. There's no fuel consumption at all, and even though tyre wear is at times 10, these karts carry so little weight that the tyres don't even start to wear even after 25 laps with the tyre wear set, I think, at its maximum value. So gaining on Contagious, well, and then Ray comes up from behind. I think he missed his braking point, or I braked too early. I don't know what happened there. It wasn't intentional, I don't believe, but yeah, it seems to just go wrong for me at either end of the course. Don't know how to account for that, but anyway, into the last sector of lap 5. And still feeling pretty good despite the incident earlier on. You know, considering everything, having only dropped 2 positions is not terrible. So as we round T1, and we kind of just settle into a bit of a pattern here. And I think everyone's sort of content. They've found their line somewhat, and we're just following each other through. Overtakes are surprisingly difficult on this track. I think they're just surprisingly difficult in these vehicles. Like, unlike a car, if you make slight contact in the car, it's okay. If you make slight contact in the kart, someone is going flying. So as we begin lap 7, in fact we'll flash forward now to lap 14 because nothing much happened. And now we see it's like Tin Sinister going off into the grass. He rejoins, have to take the outside line. And then I get the cut back on him and take 7th position. But yeah, the race between laps 7 and 14 was pretty much what you saw. We were just following each other around the track, nobody really moving, nobody really making any noise. And so we flash forward again to the beginning of lap 17, which is my fastest lap, so we'll move into cockpit view. And Onamura has a penalty up ahead. It's only a half a second penalty, so it won't allow me to catch him, but it will bring me closer in, and I'll be able to start reeling in that small train from P4. Become so scared of that wall now. So yep, this was my fastest lap of the race, and back around T1, and yeah, so a 56.85, pretty close to my qualifying time. Again, a couple of tenths down on my best time in free practice, but hey, I'm not complaining. I honestly don't know how top split guys do it. I mean, I am on a controller, just so not a wheel. As Contagious gets a little bit unstuck, but manages to recover, but that does give me time, or an opportunity rather, to catch up to them a little bit more as we come to the end of lap 22. And things start to get interesting. Things start to get really interesting. And Onoroma, sorry, not Onomora, Onoroma and Contagious in a pitch battle for P5. So we'll come into lap 24 now, and they are still at it with, yeah, the battle for P5 is on, and Contagious is out. Loses it on T1, and yeah, you'd think that would be it. You'd think that would be it for him. And I gladly take P6. So we'll start now the final lap of this wacky race. It's not quite done with us yet. We'll be round T1 and close to lapping the back marker Speedy. And I'm chasing down Oniroma, but given the gap is 1.2 seconds and there's only half a lap left, I'm not going to catch him. But I'm also feeling pretty confident that Contagious is not going to make up that 3.1 second gap behind me. Certainly not with only a few seconds left of the race, unless I do something really stupid. So, it looks like I'll be finishing in P8, unless someone ahead of me does something really stupid. Well, you look at that. Honestly, that was insanity, absolute insanity. But happy to hold on to P7, dropping only one position after qualifying in P6. Not a bad result at all things considered. Well, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed that, please like, comment and subscribe. Comment below especially if you were in this race or if you raced it in a different lobby. Let me know how you did. The next race is the Toyota Gazoo Racing GT Cup Round 1. We'll be in the Supras at Laguna Seca. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you at the next race.